Gear is what completes a Borderlands experience. The entire point of this glorious series is to pound your enemies till they finish all over you, exploding in a bunch of neat gear and weapons. The more you progress, the better the gear gets, which is needed for later, more challenging enemies. What if we stripped ourselves of our gear and did the opposite of what this game was all about? Today, we will answer a question no sane person has ever asked. Can you beat Borderlands 3 without using any gear? No one has ever asked this question because if they did, they'd be a hentai Area 51 speedrunner, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, baby. Woo! But before we partake in this run that I know will be equivalent to literal boner kryptonite, let's discuss a few rules, gentle boys, and the 5% of females that watch my videos. Rule 1. I need to get naked and fast. I know how much you guys appreciate my Greek god stature, so fortunately for you, no gear will be allowed whatsoever for this run. That means guns, class mods, shields, etc. will not be used. We're going to treat those items like cooties from the Rugrats, because that shit is icky. Rule 2. Borderlands 3 is a good game. There are actually good vehicles, mounted turrets, and barrels that could be turned into projectiles, which consequently will allow me to use them as improvised weapons in my travels. While we are on this subject, I now may as well shut down the same 5 people that comment on every video telling me to do the exact same challenge on Borderlands the pre-sequel. Listen, I won't, because if you didn't know, there are 2 types of games out there, the good ones and the pre-sequel. Don't worry folks, I'll be here all night, baby. Now let's saddle up, boys. Will we be able to take down Katagawa's butt plug? Will the Agonizer 9000 ruin my chances of actually getting this show on Disney Channel? Grab your little hug fruit barrels and Paw Patrol Marshall blankies, as Papa Snacksa proves something to the internet that literally no one cares about. Let's get to work. Our character is very important to us this run. This will most likely be our win condition, so that means Amara, obviously the best vault hunter in the game, will be our go-to pick. Now that Flak has been picked, it is time to get to work. I understand that making builds in Borderlands 3 is a very new concept. I know people are out there still learning how to open those little wax sticks with liquid sugar in them, or how to wipe while sitting down, let alone the tedious task of making builds in Borderlands 3. Hey guys, Borderlands Slut 67 here, coming at you with a new build. Hey guys, so today we will skip all that good stuff and show you what your first playthrough of Borderlands 3 should look like. Firstly, our character must be named. I named Flak after an absolutely gorgeous and illustrious channel member that also so happens to be a person cosplaying as Plankton, trying to steal my Krabby Patty secret formula. But we don't have time for such shenanigans. In Claptrap's peril of getting his salad vacuum tossed by the insane clown posse's magnet, I realized that the selfless cute little robot experienced this pain, so we didn't have to. But less about our heroes, let's talk about the sensations. For a majority of this run, our weapon will be nothing but our fists. These things here are not only capable of bringing my enemies that sweet skull face emoji, but also disciplining in mass quantity. These fists were Tinder matched with my enemies, and they were looking for more than just a fuck buddy. Now, don't be alarmed. When you first start, this will all seem very overwhelming, but eventually, you'll find that these techniques you will learn will make the pornographic material on turbofistmyanus.com look trivial in comparison, and that's because it absolutely is. Our goal this run is to become some sort of weird offspring, conjured from a threesome between One Punch Man's very own Saitama, Brick, and the Borderlands gaming god, Jolt's dude himself. The beginning of this run is not a difficult one, so we won't have to tap into this transformation just yet. Not even 15 minutes into the challenge, and we are immediately insulted by Gearbox when they force me to pick up a shield in order to continue in my quest. Gearbox assuming my need for a shield is absolutely tasteless and disgusting. Shiv should probably retire and change his name to Shit, because all that was needed to take him down was a couple of well-timed barrel shoves. It's fine that I missed everything. It's not like Baby Man over here is gonna do something about it. With Shiv dead, I achieved level 2, and that means that now the turns have tabled. Amara's action skills will be my saving grace and condom to keep me safe during this absolute fuckfest of a run. Phase cast will be one of the main sources of damage carrying me into the late game. This will be my bread and butter action skill to say the least, allowing me to deal damage from afar and trigger a couple of active skills, but we'll get into that later. For those of you curious owls out there, no, you can't pull an Ezio Auditore on our boy Claptrap. But hey, just as I attempted to ask the hottest, coolest guy in my class of prom, at least I tried. Captain Underpants needed to be saved, and in the meantime, I think this would be a perfect opportunity to tell you guys that there will be a link in the description to every boss fight. Whether you are a curious naysayer or just want to enjoy witnessing me fart, shit, and sperm myself scared every boss fight, the link will be below. The road to Undie Pants is a long and dark one. For those of you unaware, this video also has a secret challenge tied to it that I unlocked in the main menu using this cheat code. From here on out, I cannot use the words ass, butt, or butthole. This will be a hard one for the Senza channel, our hardest challenge yet. If I pass this challenge, I get a glorious grand prize of nothing, and if I lose, you guys get a Senza Achilles tendon reveal. This very self-imposed challenge led me to experiencing the most depressing and heart-rending experience a man of my intellectual caliber, which by the way is equivalent to my grandmother learning how to use her iPhone, has ever endured. Imagine going through a group of enemies, punching them, and bringing them nothing but full-fledged enemas of fists and dirty sweaty palms, but not being able to make a single overused Senza derriere joke. Absolutely disgusting. Either way, I made sure I had all of their consent before taking them to Flavortown, and I'm not going to lie, my sensual confrontations with these bandits was something else, baby. For this first planet, expect some simple SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom gameplay, because it will all play out as you would expect. Pressing right click on an enemy guarantees their certain death. A couple of black dynamite bullhorn bitch slaps, and this shit is nothing but a cakewalk. Even though I enjoyed my time, I was missing something. And no, you sick little fucks, it wasn't Rule 34 of Ellie. It was the vehicle that she gives to us. Although getting to it first will have me going through my grandfather's hemorrhoids and back, this will all be worth it. About 30 minutes and a couple of farts later, your boy now had a cool whip. Mouthpiece was on my radar, but I first needed to catch a quick episode of Senza Does Side Quests. The children of Cringe HQ stood before me, and it was time to divide a couple of cheeks by 0. We had a small problem though, and that was that even after a couple of quests, I was still underleveled, which was quite a big no-no, seeing as I had no shield. But I had to toughen up, smoke a couple of beers, and get to work. I won't lie to you guys, I died a decent amount, but mostly turned my enemies into origami. With the fury of 1,000 Shaolin monks and that weird bald lady that oddly gives me a boner from Doctor Strange, my fist and ancient Kung Fu Panda 3 techniques brought mouth turd misery and absolute pain. I was worried this boss fight would be difficult without a shield, but as long as you always keep moving and occasionally hitting that boy with a 10-piece nuggie and large Dr. Pepper combo, you can easily make it out of this one. The enemies leading up to Lilith were nothing but mincemeat in the scheme of things, and paid with their blood, Skyrim Imperial Guard style. After a quick revive, which was awesome because I rarely ever get to touch women, we took to the skies just as Invader Zim did when he was kicked off of his homeworld. Reese needed to be contacted on Promethea, and we were going to do just that. But before we do so, let's discuss the plan this run. Operation My Wiener is Getting Cold and I Think It Just Fell Off is now in full effect. We have only one goal this run, and that is to make our merry way to the end of the game, abiding by the rules that were set at whatever cost. Amara's green tree will be pumped full of our thick skill points in order to make this run possible, as her and her iron fists love this tree the same way a priest loves a kid in a wheelchair. That was kind of fucked up. Switching between elemental fisting types will also be important to trigger the weaknesses of our enemies. This is our last training mission before the Infinity Stones are placed into the gauntlet. As a mental gymnast, this run will allow me to focus on the more cognitive side of these challenge runs, and my ability to keep cool during the most stressful of moments. And for those curious, yes, I have masturbated with a glove on. Hey guys, my name is Senza, I'm 23 years old, and I'm addicted to making the bald man cry while wearing the power glove. Alright guys, that was a great game. Woo! It's a close one. Listen, hey, I'm gonna go take out the trash, I'll be right back, alright guys?
Ever since Senza was a mere child, he dreamt of destroying.
Getting to Reese's watershed wasn't actually too difficult. After demolishing all life that stood in my way of finding Lorelei, I got the info that she needed, and I was able to unleash a hurricane on the Malawan soldiers who forgot to put up their shutters. Everything was going neato mosquito until the Chads and Kyles, also known as Mini Pyro Pete's, showed up. You see, give a man some fire, he'll be warm for a day. Set a man on fire, and you'll just warm him for the rest of his life. I don't know where I was going with that, but it sounded kind of cool. Also, fun fact for those that want to get through this without committing seppuku, you can actually sit by the health vending machines and supply your dopamine addiction, while simultaneously pounding a bunch of dudes. With Dipshitiot saved, I was only level 10. I wasn't going to stand a chance against my upcoming enemies, so I had to turn to role-playing as a Starbucks employee. Unfortunately, my peanut-sized ding-dong brain couldn't remember all the coffee recipes. Seriously, I applaud any of you that have actually learned that Elder Scroll of every coffee variation known to mankind. My damage just wasn't enough, because the boss at the end of this side quest was impossible to kill without that super cool blue thing that sits above your health bar. I thoroughly did not enjoy his venti double mocha frapposeptic latte, so I took the L and went off to find the insufferable Hawkeye that I would totally let kiss my dad. A bit of high intensity cardio with a dash of weightlifting later, I found him, but there was no time to celebrate because I got backroom casting couched as a punishment for being an idiot and playing this game without any gear. And yes, that is a verb. This part was difficult, but after all, I am the pioneer of being able to take pain. Zero was saved, and I was rewarded with the most useless thing I could have ever possibly been given. This totally shows how much of a great friend Zero actually is, because he should have known that's not what I wanted for Christmas. Gigamind was a typical fight. I couldn't hear him from the bottom of the leaderboard because that dude's Fortnite KDA was totally weak, just like his dick game. Giga Kyle was dead in nearly an instant due to the flames that engulfed my very punches. Although, interestingly enough, he did ignore my firebending at one point. But that didn't matter because after he died, I was given my next quest from the Dr. Disrespect mustache wannabe. It looks like Uber Eats delivers on the planet of Athenas because I came to deliver a nice nutritious meal of anime Dragon Ball Z finishing moves. Speaking of deliveries, I thank you guys for bearing with my content. I know not all jokes are delivered the way they should, especially the abortion ones, but seriously, thanks for sticking around, boys. Lots of dying was had here, almost to the point where I had the fight for your life text burned into my corneas for a week, as if I was looking into the sun. I beat the meats off of all of those Malawan soldiers and then made it to Captain Taint. This was my first real challenge this run, and when my universe seemingly collapsed. Trant was definitely my first wall, but I was eventually able to make it past it. Calculated plays and just overall game knowledge is what was needed. Just in case you aren't perceptive enough, I am a scientific anomaly to the gaming world, and I am quite sorry if you didn't bring a spare change of diapers after that gaming display. I'll also like to give a quick shout out to this user here for finding this gloriousness. The challenge will be paused here so I can show you guys something quite interesting. If you down yourself while these monks watch, you will be graced with the most beautiful form of art. The Skywell in Katagawa was a worry that was present at the back of my mind, but my corrosive fists should do the trick. The Skywell took me around 2 hours and basically had me micromanaging like I was playing StarCraft, switching my elements every 2 seconds to hit my enemy's weaknesses. Also, the occasional hole-in-one from Tiger Woods helped out immensely. Just a few robo-testicle collaterals later, I was at Katagawa Ball and ready to bring him pain. Smothering Sonic the Hedgehog and the entire cast of the Sonic series with my mud flaps would be more enjoyable this fight. Even a mild case of domestic abuse between me and my right hand would be a little more exciting than this AIDS fest. Katagawa Ball overleveled me, and I barely did any damage to the damn thing. Consistency was all that was needed though. This was just another monotonous fight that had me occasionally spamming my action skills. Nothing special. With the plug of Anus's dead, I ventured off to partake in the actual World War III, the battle for Atlas HQ. On the front lines, I witnessed many lives lost for my very own safety, but not even the bravery of such young men could save this damsel in distress. I'll be honest, the fight with Katagawa wasn't that interesting, and it was incredibly easy. A couple of tasteless, really cringy 2007 firing my laser memes, and Katagawa made his way with a one-stop ticket to the Shadow Realm. On my way to my very first Volt Beast, I was met with something incredibly heartbreaking. Two badass enemies decided that the bandit life wasn't for them, and took their very own lives jumping in front of a train. Suicide is not the way out. Remember, my friends, you are worth so much more than you actually know you are. The Rampager, the next Hokage that needed to be dealt with, was here, and my egg rolls were ready for this beast. Without shields, that meant that one wrong step would mean an end to my very existence, and my days of making solo male Lego building tutorials will be over. Just as the fight with Taint, you must become one with movement, moving faster than a mere fart in the wind. I danced around the arena, every movement perfectly portrayed as if I had this all choreographed. This fight was great, just like Chrono Trigger, the greatest JRPG of all time. time, and the Rampager was dead in one try. The audience cheered, screaming my name, and I finally did it. But then I woke up from my wet dream and realized it was time for the shittiest part of the game. I was not ready to spread this bad boy's legs open and hop into some sensational loving, but I had to. Out of all the shit that we take in our daily life, this place just really isn't my cup of feces. But what definitely is though, is when I deliver pizzas with my boy Brick and Tina. Servicing the motors of our enemies with my god hands has never been so easy. My damage at this point was at full jolts dude and half of Saitama. Listen ladies, I know you ladies want a piece of Snacksa, but this 180-pound hunk of muscle isn't interested in your advances. I'm here for that insufferable thick boy, the man who's built top half PUBG tryhard and bottom half executioner smo. To take out the warden, all you need to do is slap his forehead with a couple of corrosive punches and then kite him out afterwards with your fire augment. This fight was also quite easy, but took me on an emotional roller coaster. To stop him from going God Super Saiyan and leveling up like he always does, I had to go all in. Tightening up my little bum, I closed my eyes and prayed that I would kill him before he were to transform. My damage was barely there, but just enough. I was able to kill him before he evolved into Charizard. I felt as though I was touched by an angel. And no, not Angel Hernandez, that weird security guy in my apartment building. An actual angel sent from heaven, here to see me succeed. After holding Balex's hand through the downed Jacob's ship, we met Genevieve and literally laid her out within a couple of minutes. My strength at this point was immeasurable. My skill points being pumped into that tree was just a suppository of steroids for Amara, a straight up human bulldozer destroying everything in my path. No shield or grenade really mattered at this point. It was now time to meet Clay, and oh no! This crusade has now technically failed, and my life is in shambles as we speak. The Super Sight quest given by our man, Arthur Morgan, gives you a weapon that actually can't be removed from your inventory, and this being a main quest meant that I had to do it. But as all the serious problems in my life, I'll just ignore this one, and hopefully it won't come creeping back stronger than it was before. Accepting my defeat, I pushed my way through, leveling up one hand and destruction. The fight with Marvel's very own Ant-Man was actually a lot harder than I expected, but I'm not really sure I was expecting anything other than dying in the first place, so it wasn't actually that big of a surprise. Speaking of surprises, let's get some F's in chat for the poor so-called boss Gearbox decided to put into this game. She didn't stand a chance against my fists that have now been graded as a Class A weapon of mass destruction by 14 different countries. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the festering pile of gerbil dick that is the Grave Ward fight. Boys, I almost threw my towel up for this one. The Vanguard of Justice, your very own K-pop superstar Senza, almost couldn't take it. My only means of damaging the Grave Ward was with fucking phase cast. All I could do was a Kamehameha fart on the Grave Ward that literally did about as much damage as a fart would realistically do in real life. This took me almost an hour and 30 minutes. I literally sat in my chair spamming F every 28 seconds. And you can bet that when I missed my attack, my apartment hallway echoed that sailor mouth sound from SpongeBob. After losing an hour and a half of my life, I mean, not like I was going to do anything much better with it anyway, the Grave Ward was dead, and this was a turning point. The marathon was nearly done. But before I fought the Agonizer, I actually documented a weird interaction. Dying during the quest where you retrieve Donald Trump's Hot Wheel allows you to randomly conjure the Golden Chariot. In awe of my conjuration being at 100 without even knowing, you can bet your sweet ass that I was going to bring that shit back to Carnivora and get a free shortcut. As you would expect, it didn't work. And not only was I vastly disappointed with the fact that I was scammed out of a shortcut that I was entitled to, but now I need to give you guys an Achilles tendon reveal. Fuck. Alright guys, god damn it. Here you go. Oh shit. Some nice Achilles tendon action right there, baby. Oh yeah. You guys deserve it. I failed the goddamn challenge. The giant sex robot that was commissioned for use by Troy Calypso needed to be destroyed. Though the thought of this fight really sent trembles down my spine, I somehow was able to pop off in the first try, even without the skill Guardian Angel. I fortunately bested the Agonizer 9000 without dying once, which was quite a big surprise to me. After spanking Pain and Terror for turning their Barbie makeup head into a death machine, I was now only 3 bosses away from getting out of this secret layer of hell the Bible failed to warn me about. Now sit back and enjoy this therapeutic experience as you watch watched many NPCs get deleted from the game, attempting to stop my havoc. During the Children of Cringe HQ raid, I was basically farming these mobs. The fact that I had no shield almost didn't matter. I felt like a max prestige Call of Duty player in a lobby with a bunch of kids who just got the game for Christmas. This shit was an all-you-can-eat buffet. Cheap dollar store Ronnie Radke posed a small threat, but there ain't nothing my fist can't handle. This Dark Souls type beat of a fight involved a lot of dodging and a bit of persistence. I'll be frank with you guys, Guardian Angel was my saving grace this fight, and without it, I would have probably forced myself to eat an entire bag of tortilla chips vertically. But eventually, I was able to convince the bank to foreclose his life and finish Troy off for good. Tyreen ran off and threatened to end Pandora and our very existence, which is a giant problem because I can't let anything happened to my precious V-Bucks. General Taint was not ready for the power that rested inside my very punches. With max level destruction, there was no way he could make it. The fight was a massive failure at first, almost nearing Fallout 76 levels. I put on a skill that basically charmed my enemies, turning them into my white knights. For some reason, I expected to be able to damage them, while they were attempting to give me kisses and staring at my tits, but unfortunately, you cannot. I decided to ditch that idea, just like almost every other idea that I have, and get to work. With Trant's chastity belt now removed, all it took was a couple of punches in order to take him out, which then left me to my final trial. It was time to finally end this crusade and bring this victory royale back home for the boys. There seemed to be a slight chance of death for today's forecast because Tyreen was about to get that knuckle meat sandwich from Recess. Without a doubt, Tyreen was 100% going to hit me with the Grave Ward treatment, which basically meant that I can only damage her every so often. My only tactic here was to run around like a little bitch, occasionally giving dumb idiot a dose of my prescribed fists. This was going to take me the full runtime length of Infinity War at this point, and not having a shield made this all the more scarier. On the Richter scale, my damage easily equated to that of an ant taking a shit, so I barely even damaged the vile hentai abomination. I was basically playing Mercy from Overwatch, constantly healing this thing every time I took a swing. But I had a dream, baby, and we were almost there. After 50 minutes of excruciating anxiety pulsing through my very boner and giving me the incredible need to shit, which by the way I hate when my anxiety does that, Tyreen fell. I had finally done it. You can beat Borderlands 3 without any gear. I wouldn't wish this challenge upon anyone, but I went through this hell so you guys didn't have to. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and swipe right on the like button. And if you like what I do here, hit that sub button to join our crusade. I appreciate all the love and support recently, and sincerely thank you to the channel members that have joined the Diaper Booty Gang. May Talos bless all of you for being cute little rascals, and be sure to follow my socials if you haven't already. This will be the last Borderlands 3 video before my Power Glove run. See you guys in the next one.